What's up, everybody? Welcome to No Lifetime Metal. It's time for a rock metal update. That's right, it's time for our rock and metal update. This one's going to be all 7-inch singles. Haven't done one of these in quite a while. Basically, I just haven't purchased a whole lot of 7-inch singles. I've had 3 or 4 of them here for months that I've been waiting to show in a rock and metal update 7-inch vinyl video, but I just, like I said, didn't want to show 3 or 4, so I waited till I had more. This past weekend, I went out to Amoeba Records and Rhino Records with Bill Bafford in California, and while we were at Amoeba Records, we found a ton of 7-inch singles for very good prices. So now I have a decent stack, so now I can show this pile of singles. Going to start off with the metal singles first, then we'll get into some of the rock stuff, but this first one here is The Obsessed. This is originally released back in 1983. Of course, this is doom metal, featuring what's his name on vocals? I forgot his stinking name. Rhino on vocals. Anyhow, this is a repressing from I think from 2012. Features Iron and Stone, In Destroy, Sudden Jackal. Just one of those singles I've wanted forever, and I just was shocked to stumble upon the repressing for I think it was like $5 or $6. It also comes with this little card inside of it, paying homage to the original singer from The Obsessed, his name being Vance Bacchus, apparently, who passed away in 2012, 1961-2012. Rest in peace, Vance Bacchus, first lead singer of The Obsessed. I learned a lot from you, man, and I know you were at peace. So there you go. Cool single, great band. Of course, Rhino is a doom metal legend. So glad to finally have this in my collection. All right, next up, excuse me, is this is another one I was kind of shocked to find there in the regular stacks. It wasn't like in new releases or anything like that. But this is one I've been looking for a while. This is Back Cruel Discipline on the Hell's Headbanger label. About a year, maybe less than a year ago, Steve, Harmless Rebel, hooked me up with a copy of the Bat album, and man, I loved it. So I started looking for what else they had out. Found out that they had the single out, which I couldn't find anywhere. Prices on eBay were ridiculous. So stumbling upon this thing for $6, and Amoeba was perfect. Snagged it up. I was like, yeah, I'm going to have that one. And basically, the Bat style, they're a new wave of traditional heavy metal band. They have some, members in their band that have been around for a while. I believe the drummer was in. I always mess up who's what in this band because it don't matter. Regardless, their sound is not like most of the new wave of traditional heavy metal bands. They're not doing speed metal, that clean speed metal style. They're not doing like the Judas Priest style. Rather, their style is more a mixture of like Motorhead and Venom, that raw edge. You hear a ton of both those bands mixed in here. Yeah, and I love this first Bat album and this little 7-inch single. I don't know what year this came out. Can't remember. Doesn't matter, I guess. I'm going to again throw a little clip of that in right here. Alright, next up, this is Black Sabbath, a band I'm sure everybody knows. This is a pickup I've had laying this around for months. Picked this up on eBay, bid the minimum, and it wasn't very much. And the same seller had a bunch of different Black Sabbath singles, and I bid the minimum on all of them, and lost all of them, but managed to get this one. So got it for very cheap on the IRS label. You got the Headless Cross and Cloak and Dagger. This is basically, you know, the Tome Iommi solo project at this point, being he was the only original member in the band, but still, Iommi is a riff master. I love everything he's done with Sabbath, including this. And Kazi Pal, I believe, was the drummer on this album as well. So, very cool single from the Headless Cross album. Of course, Tony Martin being the singer of the band here. Great stuff. Black Sabbath, always welcome in my collection. This is one I ordered, again, months ago on the band's, on their website. And it took a while to come in, but it finally got here. This is Wargasm. And this is the Suicide Squad 7-inch single, a new release from them, and very great thrash metal. Very great, is that a good way to say that? Very great thrash metal. And then the B-side is a cover of Power of the Hunter, of course a Tank cover, and a fantastic choice of a song from them. Both songs are really good. I hope that they decide to do a full-length album. This is number 44 of 75. I believe they pressed 2 different colors, maybe yellow was the other one. I got the black. And I believe both pressings were only 75 copies. So yeah, I got this on their Bandcamp site, so if you're interested, I'm sure they probably still have copies. Wargasm, Suicide Squad, thrash metal. Thrash metal. Alright, another metal album. This is another one that I'm going to probably have to play a clip of. But this is Morros Nicks. This was a hookup from my my friend Wargod, Metal Wargod, who is on YouTube. And if I remember, I'll put a link below to his channel. Him and I have been friends for a couple decades now. And he sent this to me in the mail. Cool band. I believe they're a new band. I don't know much about them. But their style is definitely 80s. They kind of remind me a little bit of bands like Warlord in the way their songs are written and stuff like that. I'm going to just go ahead and throw a clip in right here. So there you go. That's a little bit of Morros Nicks, Awakening, Child of the Dream, With Doom We Come, and Defenders. This is on the Underground Power label. This is number 3 of 300. Glad to have it. Very cool, independent, heavy metal. Just straightforward heavy metal. So yeah, there are still great bands doing a great style of metal, keeping that style alive, and I love this stuff. So Morros Nicks. Oh, and here's the little lyric insert that came with it. Alright, to the some more of the rock stuff. This is one I picked up in California. This is I picked up at Rhino Records. Shocked to find this out there. This is UFO, the Coming of Prince Kajuka, or Kajuku, and the B-side is the, well, I'm sorry, Prince Kajuku is the A-side, the Coming of Prince Kajuku is the A-side, the B-side, I don't know. whatever. Anyhow, this is a German single. This was the most expensive thing I purchased while I was out there. It was, I can't remember now. It was over 10 bucks, but it wasn't much over 10 bucks. And I love UFO, and you just don't see these early singles on Decca around in the U.S. much, and especially in this condition. This thing looks like it's never been played. The cover is near mint. No bends, no rips. Matter of fact, there's a little sticker on the back. Excellent German pressing, excellent sleeve and vinyl, indeed. So I wasn't going to leave that behind. As well, I picked this one up from Rhino, and this is the only two things I picked up from there. I was basically saving my money for the next day when we were going to Amoeba, because I didn't have a whole lot of money on this trip as it was. But this was only $2. So Lita Ford, Falling in Love, Falling In and Out of Love remix, backed with Fatal Passion, I believe. Yeah, Fatal Passion. This is, of course, from the Lita album. And for $2, you know, you guys know I'm a huge fan of the Runaways and anything that came out of the Runaways, Lita Ford stuff and Joan Jett stuff. So I usually grab these if I can find them cheap, and this one was definitely worth grabbing for. It was, I think it was $1.99. This is when I showed my last update. However, what I showed you was this, a promo single for the Falling in Love Is Harder Than These, just in a white sleeve like this. Apparently there was a promo version of this released in a white sleeve, but I didn't want the white sleeve version. I wanted the picture version, and I found one, another eBay buy, very cheap. I've been on this and was the only bidder. I mean, I've been watching copies of this one on eBay for quite a while. Most of them are $10 and above, up to 20 and 30 bucks. And a lot of them have been sitting there for a long time because they've been on my watch list. Nobody's buying them. This person listed it for much less than 10 bucks. I bid on it and won it, so I'm glad to have it. Another album for the Aerosmith 7-inch collection. Falling in Love Is Harder Than These, backed with, then the B-side is actually a song that was not on the album called Fall Together. So there you go, Aerosmith. Another one that I've been watching on eBay. You guys know I've been, in the past few years, I was really into Canadian hard rock and heavy metal. I was just searching out all these bands I kind of missed in the 70s and early 80s. And one of those bands that I really hooked into was Trooper. And this is the Santa Maria single. And I actually have a copy on my eBay watch list that I've been watching for a while, but the guy wants too much. And I've been, you know, looking once in a while to see if there's other copies, and it rarely ever shows up. This copy I found in the stacks at Amoeba for $3.99. Price tag still on it. And snapped it up. This is a promo version of it, though. There's two different versions. What You're Gonna Do About Me is on the regular version. This version just has the A side on both sides of the record. And you can see on the label it says promotional copy, not for sale. Glad to have it. I just, you know, felt like I needed it to complete the Trooper collection. And I really do like Trooper. Their first album was straight up 70s hard rock with a bit of a, I don't want to say pop, because pop brings up bad things, but pop in the way that Cheap Trick is pop, you know. It kind of had that kind of vibe to it. And as they moved along, they kind of get more into that hooky, poppy, power pop, I guess you would call it, style. But they kind of always stayed hard rock, you know, but they mixed it up, had ballads and other kind of stuff. Regardless, great Canadian hard rock band. If you've never heard Trooper, check them out. Alright, now we're getting out of the hard rock stuff, getting into some different styles here. This is actually one that Bill Bafford gave me from Rocks Records. You guys know that I do work with them. I didn't even know this existed. This is actually a punk Christmas single, and it was the very first vinyl release from Rocks Records. I just didn't realize it until I was flipping through the stacks of stuff. I'm like, hey, what's this? 3 songs. So you've got the B-side has Carol of the Bells by The Absolved and Jolly Christmas by False Idol. But the first song on side A is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, performed by Three Kings. Now, Three Kings, as far as I know, isn't the real band. It's made up of basically Mike Phillips, known for his work with Deliverance, among others. He's been in many different bands. But also Greg Minier, who was the guitar player in, The Crucified, and Minier and Applehead, and yeah. Anyhow, so those two guys together created this one. I haven't even heard it yet. I just received this. It's a Christmas thing, so you know it's one of those things you'll spin around Christmas time. regardless, from what I understand, he still has a few copies of this left for sale. If anybody's interested in a Christmas punk single from those guys, yeah, pick that up from Rocks. One of my favorite 70s prog bands. This is Yes. This was from the Tormato album, which I guess a lot of fans didn't care for. I love Tormato. It's one of my favorite Yes albums. It's basically the last album with the classic Yes lineup before they got into, you know, changing members, changing styles, changing everything. This album sounds like classic Yes to me. It's probably one of the heavier, not that it's metal, one of the heavier Yes albums too. They get their heaviness from their bottom end, especially from that growling bass of Chris Squire. But anyhow, this is just a killer song. I always liked that artwork. Never owned this single before. The B-side is actually unreleased. It was, you know, from them same sessions, but it was Abilene. If you get the CD pressing, the remastered CD pressing of Tormato, excuse me, then it has that song on there as a bonus track, but it was originally only released on this single. So very cool pickup for like a couple bucks. Along that same lines, this one was like maybe $1 or $2 more than that one, but this is from the follow-up album, the first album to not feature John Anderson on vocals, and definitely a departure in style as well. This is from the Drama album, as you can see from the back. This is a Spain pressing, I believe. Italy. It's an Italian pressing, and it features Does It Really Happen and Into the Camera Lens, I Am a Camera. I am a camera. Do, 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 do. Camera, camera. It was the 80s, you know. They kind of got that new wavy thing going on with their mixed with their prog, and I like it. I like that album. I like most everything that Yes put out. So this was a cool score as well. Not one you see floating around the U.S. very much, and for $4 or $5, definitely worth grabbing. Again, from Amoeba. Staying on the same thing, this is Anderson, Wakeman, Bruford, Howe, which is basically Yes. Chris Squire was not a part of this. Chris Squire owned the name, thus they used the Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, Howe name. This is a UK pressing of a single for Brother of Mine and Themes. Same batch of albums I found this in. And yeah, I didn't pay much for this one either, maybe $2 or $3, and has a custom centering on both sides. Like I said, basically it's just Yes, and it's a return to a more progressive, you know, prog rock style. I love the Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, Howe album, and the live stuff they put out with it, and you know, it was great that they got back together with Chris and back together with Yes. But in the meantime, this was a good release, and I'm glad to have this single. I was also flipping through their prog rock 7-inch singles in hopes of finding a single off the third Peter Gabriel record, which has always been my favorite Peter Gabriel record. Didn't find that, but I did find this. This is Big Time. This was $1, and I snagged it up. It's on the Geffen label. B-side is, let's see if I remember the B-side. Let's see here. We Do What We're Told, Milgram's 37. That's the B-side. We Do What We're Told. And yeah, for $1, it was worth grabbing. You know, it's got a little bit of a tear there from a price sticker, but it's worth $1. I like Peter Gabriel, so I grabbed that. Matter of fact, these last two were $1 each as well. This is Way of the World, backed with Everything Works If You Let It from Cheap Trick, off of the Dream Police album, 1980, I believe. I love Dream Police, one of my favorite albums from Cheap Trick. Definitely has a power pop album. I know people were disappointed with it in 1980 originally because it wasn't quite as heavy as their live album. But the songs were there, and it was rocking, and the musicianship was there, and the hooks were there. And I love that album. So anyhow, for $1, I grabbed it. It's not a picture sleeve, but it is a US pressing in the original Epic sleeve. Might have to find a new Epic sleeve because it's got spooge on it, and that bugs me. But otherwise, for $1, worth having, as is this one. This is Cheap Trick doing Elvis Presley's Don't Be Cruel. Backed with I Know What I Want live. And not a huge fan of the mid-80s, more poppy, less rock era of Cheap Trick, but honestly, I do like all of it. And I'll, you know, any Cheap Trick is welcome in my collection. So for $1, this is another good pickup. I haven't even heard the live version yet, so I'm looking forward to checking that out. So that's it. That's my 7-inch update for, well, I don't know, January, February. And I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment below. Love talking to you guys. That's it. God bless. Stay strong.